Let's fight the algorithm!
Warning, this video contains acrylic layers. Welcome to a new episode of Brosmind TV! What was that, man?
Somos los hermanos Mingarro!
Yes, we are. And today we're here in the other room of the studio to talk about these beautiful paintings. And we are actually working in the walls, in the paint again, because we wanted to step out of computers. All thanks to the AI, because we are kind of saturated from work, so we thought let's kind of build our own safe spot.
With our hands.
Exactly.
You know?
Let's fight the algorithm!
Exactly.
So we took Pepita's Plant Shop, that is a personal project we have,
Yes.
and we're using it to explore multiple different medias.
Yes.
One is the comic that you were able to see weekly. Now it's going to be once every 6 months or something.
Yeah.
But inside this project, we're also going to be building sculptures.
Yes.
And we are painting.
Yes.
And these are the results. The whole Pepita Plant Shop universe, it's very rich in details. You know, there are like cities, characters, and stuff. So we wanted to divide it in different sites. And in the paint part, we wanted to say, okay, let's try and make something new, something different to our daily work, you know?
Yes.
If you see our daily work, it's all these very busy illustrations with a lot of characters, if you may be familiar with.
Yeah.
And we thought, why don't we start painting, but we put 3 rules.
Yes.
Do you know the rules, brother?
Yes, but let's see if you can remember them.
Okay, first rule, we are
a
never
challenge.
gonna use outlines. Yes. Second rule, there are not gonna be characters, or at least it's not gonna be completely crowded of them. And third one, it's gonna be in big format, big size. We wanted to go really big. We are used to work, or in the recent years, we were working like A3, A4, A2 maximum format when we were drawing, but lately, you know, we were using computers, iPads, and all that stuff. So you end up working on this kind of small light box, you know.
Yes.
And we wanted to go back in time and go back and recover our freedom when we paint.
Yes. And it's very relaxing.
Yes.
You know, we didn't have experience of painting anything.
Not
You
at
know,
all.
We had to learn
Yes.
which kind of canvas to buy, the acrylic painting to buy,
Yes.
you know, all that, the brushes, everything. We were new at this, and it was very happy. Research, no, happy, ¿cómo se dice? Un camino muy divertido.
Path, a very entertaining journey. Yeah,
pleasant journey. And, you know, and we find this system, and we're very happy with it. And as you can see, this is the results. You know, this is made in canvas. You know, we bought a
beautiful.
very big roll of canvas, and we are cutting it in pieces of 2 by 2 meters.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah, the format is 2 by 2.
Yeah, and those are the first ones we did. And
We're working in another 2 ones,
Yeah.
but let's talk a little bit more about the process. So what we wanted to recover is this freedom of like going into the sketch, draw something, and then bringing that into the wall without having the control sheet. You know, that sometimes when you work with computers, you get so used to go back in time to fix things, and
The
sometimes you get
undo.
so obsessed that you zoom in so much that you end up fixing little details that nobody's going to pay attention. So we were kind of losing our soul into it. So we thought, let's kind of recover that. So first of all, we do sketches. We went back into sketchbooks, brother.
Yes.
So we have sketchbooks where we drop some ideas, we sketch things, and the idea was like, let's draw buildings. Why buildings? Because they are not humans,
Yes.
they are not characters,
Yeah.
but they can contain all our style and glory.
Yeah, we thought that maybe if you have to put one of those pieces in your living room,
Yeah.
it's more relaxing or invites you more to contemplate, no? If it's a building or this kind of thing without a lot of characters, no? An illustration full of crowd of characters like we usually do in our
exactly. We want to represent this feeling, you know, when you go and visit a new city, you know, you go into a street that's no one, you know, and then there is this magic of loneliness or excitement, like, man, what is that? And then you end up jumping into all these little details, you know, that you find in different countries to your country, you know. When you go to Asia, for instance, there are all these beautiful graphics around. When you go to France, there are all other types of typographies and stuff. When you go to Germany, even in the hardware, they have this beautiful typeface into the hardwares, you know. So it's like we wanted to transport this beauty of the architectural thing into our drawings.
Yes.
Does it explain? Yeah. But anyway, so the paints are basically a building, usually like a shop, and there are something that in particular we love, that are the rooftops, you know. And in the rooftops you can find all these satellite antennas and AC machines and things that are usually very ugly. But we thought, why don't we bring the beauty from them into the paint? What do you think?
We also, one thing that is in all the paintings of this series that we are now in the number 4 is this trash can. No?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this and this.
Yeah, and there is also this big shadow here.
Yeah, and you know, it was it take us a long time to find the palette, you know, because we already have the Brosmind palette now in our iPad, you know, in the digital format. But you know, we were saying, I'm going to find the perfect colors in the shop, no? And we just bought the colors, but they look different when you paint with them, no?
Yeah, exactly.
And we started to, you know, we realized that we still have to mix them, no? To find the correct color.
And man, we really enjoy this process.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
And we have these cards here now with all the mixes, or you know, when we have to create a box or a shape or a thing in volume, we already have those palettes ready, and we even have the colors. We create them and we have already prepared. No?
Yeah, exactly.
So we can go now super fast, because it's better to not improvise when painting. We discovered that recently.
Yeah, because for instance, the first one, it took us like more than a month. I mean, we were doing it in a spare time.
Almost 1 year. No?
Almost 1 year. I mean, we were doing like maybe 5 minutes a week for a year or something.
Yeah.
But it was the whole process, you know, which canvas to use, with color to use, with palette color. So this actually paint kind of gave us the whole color palette that we're using on the other ones, you know. So it's going to be a connection. It's going to be supposedly to be faster. And cool thing is that when we do the sketch, we do it by hand, you know. We put some color on it with pencil colors, and then we use the tracer. What is the tracer, brother?
It's like a projector, but with magnifier and a glass here. It has a glass, you know, and a magnifier. So you put something here, you must be almost in completely dark, no? And you can project it to the surface, to the canvas in this case, and you know, and then we just fill the drawing with a pencil by hand, with a very loosey style, you know. Because we like that the drawing is not super, you know, straight, you know, the lines. We like this loosey feeling, and once we do that, we start painting, just filling the surfaces with the colors that we defined before. Exactly.
So we're trying to find this. That's the philosophy behind. You know, we want to try and stretch as much as we can the handmade process. You know, so there's no digital work involved in here. We do the sketch by hand. We project it in this very primitive system. Then we trace it by hand slightly, but keeping all those lines more freehands, you know. And then the process of painting is a process that takes some hours, you know. You keep painting, then you change the colors on top of the other colors. So it's still the piece, the final piece looks very flat, everything, and it seems that it's been done in one go, no? But it's actually, the process is for us is very, it's like our therapy, you know. You go through one color, you don't like it, you change it. So it's very nice.
It's very relaxing, I have to say. It's also a physical task, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to the drawing table, you know, maybe, you know, it's very relaxing to be standing up, you know, painting there. Focus on making the perfect lines there.
Yeah, exactly. No? I mean, and then other stuff that it's also interesting. In this project, there are a lot of Japanese characters, writing characters on it. Just because it's not that we're strong influenced by the Japanese culture. It's more about the Asian culture, you know, where, as we were saying before, you know, all these antennas, AC machines, you know, all these dialogues and all these signs that are on AC, they're just amazing, you know. So, of course, they are kind of influencing us a little bit in here, where we're trying to find our own little universe here. And the idea is that we are developing this universe through the comic, through those two characters.
So you are saying that if someone from China or from Japan reads those signs, he's going to understand them?
Yeah, they're supposed to be readable.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? And they're like, as I said, I'm not sure if I say it, but its building is going to be like a different shop. For instance, here is the Pepitas Plant Shop, the main building. Here we have like some sort of garage where you can go and fix your car. And there is like a restaurant on top or shopping thing. So we're playing with all these also different levels, that we have in the Asian culture. Here in Spain or in Europe, I don't think there are all that. We don't have this cultural thing that you go into a building and there are like different shops or restaurants in different levels,
Yeah, in the floor level.
Yeah, exactly. So we're kind of trying to get this. So each paint is going to be one building. Maybe one is going to be just one antenna, I don't know, but the whole thing is going to be surrounding about this Pepitas Plant Shop with all these buildings. And again, just because we want to play and look for something different, not all these kind of really slapstick characters we do daily. We want to do something more, I don't want to say architectural.
Yeah, maybe that's too much.
But
very
like
ambitious.
Yeah. Like volumes, and colorful volumes of things that you can still get lost in some details, but you can still find joy and beauty just watching them.
Yeah, but even if it's that different from our usual style, you know, I think the Brosmind spirit is still there with the colors, and the palette, and
exactly.
How you
and still how we
buildings.
represent all this technology that is around the whole building. But anyway, this is Pepitas Plant Shop. It's growing fast. The idea is to make at least 10 of these paintings, because next year we're going to be 20-year-old, brother.
Yeah, imagine being in a gallery surrounded by 10 of those buildings.
Exactly, beautiful. And then we're working on some sculptures. The comic is staying there alive. We might be doing some toys and many more. So thank you again for watching us. See you next week. And remember, if you get an idea, just do it. Look at us, we're playing around with all these different media without even knowing how to use acrylic paint. That is actually the easiest. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you, brother. Bye.
Somos los hermanos Mingarro. Let's fight the algorithm!